Today's video is brought to you by The Crimer, the totally free, underground, true crime newsletter. Welcome back to CASE Documentaries. I bring you true crime, disturbing stories and other things that you may later regret knowing with regular uploads every week. Please do join a quickly growing, incredibly supportive CASE family by hitting subscribe now and turning on notifications. Thank you so much to all of my patrons. If your name is on screen right now, then you're a legend. Our love and respect goes out to all those that knew and loved Eliza and all those affected by today's dark case. Viewer discretion is advised for this educational documentary. Eliza Fletcher was born November the 9th in 1987 to Beasley and Adele Welford in Memphis, Tennessee. Luckily for her, she grew up more privileged than most. Her grandfather, Joe O'Grill III, founded a wholesale hardware business with an annual income of over $3 billion. That sort of financial backing allowed Eliza to pursue her passions freely. She loved exercise, fitness, as well as children, and all of these combined would eventually turn that love into a career. She graduated from Hutchinson School in Memphis in 2006 and went to Baylor University, earning a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science. Eliza later earned a Master of Arts from Belmont University for elementary education. After graduation, Eliza began her career teaching kindergarten based at Promise Academy in Nashville, where she also coached soccer. In 2021, she moved to Mary's Episcopal School in Memphis. Running was a huge part of Eliza's life. In fact, you could probably say she was obsessed with it. She ran early in the morning nearly every day of the week, and she didn't take breaks even on vacation. After she met her soon-to-be husband, Richard Fletcher, she would also go running with him. Eliza and Richard were active members of the Second Presbyterian Church, and according to their pastor, George Robinson, he called their zest for running and athletics an inspiration for all, and at that very church they were wed on March the 8th, 2014. After getting married, the newlywed couple had 2 children. In 2019, Eliza put her lifelong dedication to running to the test. She finally participated in the St. Jude's Marathon. She finished with a time of 3 hours 26 minutes and 9 seconds, marking her the 22nd fastest woman and earning her a spot in the Boston Marathon. Memphis, home of blues music and the birthplace of rock and roll, is the second largest city in Tennessee and one of the best places to live in America. It has an incredible music scene, amazing food, a few top-rated universities, and a blossoming job market. It is home to over 600,000 diverse people from various cultural backgrounds. But the city does have its faults. Chief among them is its high crime rate. In fact, it has the highest crime rate of any city in America. There is a shocking 1 in 40 chance that you can become a victim of a violent crime, and that really sets the scene for this case. On Friday, September 2nd, 2022, Eliza left her house for a run at around 4:20 a.m. She left for her early morning jog that she went on almost every day. It started at Central Avenue and Belvedere Street, before cutting down to Zach Curlin Street and back towards Belvedere. It was an 8.2-mile path, and she was just around the intersection of Central Avenue and Zach Curlin Street on the University of Memphis campus when something strange happened. Over the years, Eliza must have taken this path hundreds of times, and she was extremely athletic too, so she wasn't particularly worried about defending herself. But Eliza hadn't counted on a GMC Terrain following her, nor on the unstable man inside the car. Shortly after Eliza began her run, a driver in a black 2000C Terrain seemed to take notice of her. She was a solitary jogger in the early hours of the day, but she was on the university campus. For a predator on the prowl, she appeared to be the perfect mark, so the man followed for a while and simply watched. Eliza held a steady pace, and the man, bored of watching, eventually sped past her and waited up ahead. He was preparing to carry out his dastardly plan. When Eliza came up to the car, the driver jumped her. He grabbed Eliza and tried forcing her into the passenger seat, but Eliza had experience in defending herself. She fought back, so much so that the assailant left his sandals and her phone at the scene, after he eventually managed to force her into the passenger seat of the car. Even after he managed to get Eliza into the car, his struggles would not end there. They fought inside the vehicle for 4 more minutes before he could manage to drive away. The exact play-by-play of what happened next is still unclear, but what we do know is that the next few hours were a battle for her life. At 6:45 AM, a man saw Eliza's cell phone on the ground. This was still near to where she disappeared. It was nearby to some Champion sandals. This footwear belonged to the assailant. Upon a casual inspection, the man who was on a bicycle could determine who she was and returned her things to her family, and the family were beyond distraught.
Throughout Monday afternoon, we watched as ATVs made their way through a wooded area off Prospect Street in South Memphis. Industrial buildings back up to a green space in Cane Creek. It's unclear how long investigators spent at that spot or what exactly they were looking for. But it is clear they've devoted resources to their efforts. Efforts as the city of Memphis and now the nation hopes for the safe return of mother and teacher Eliza Fletcher.
Her husband Richard called the police 3 hours after she disappeared for her jog. He knew his wife very well. She was unlikely to still be out exercising, and Richard was right. The police began an investigation even before the evidence arrived at the station. Eliza's husband was initially the prime suspect. Whilst the police saw no immediate motive, most kidnappings and murders are committed by a spouse or someone close to the victim. Officers then did their due diligence. This included towing away her car to be further examined and storming their family home for anything that could lead to Eliza's discovery. Eliza was not just another missing woman in Tennessee. She was the granddaughter of an extremely rich mogul. Rightly or wrongly, if you come from money, the police just seem to care more.
My name is Mike Keeney, and I am the uncle of Eliza Fletcher. On behalf of Liza's family, her husband Richie, her children, her mom Adele, her father Beasley, her brother Gil, and all the members of her family, we want to make a brief statement. We want to start by thanking everyone for their prayers and outpouring of support. Liza has touched the hearts of many people, and it shows. We want to thank the Memphis Police Department, Shelby County Sheriff Department, TBI, FBI, and all of the other law enforcement agencies who are working tirelessly to find Liza. The family has met with police, and we have shared with them all the information we know. More than anything, we want to see Liza returned home safely. The family has offered a reward for any information that leads to her safe return. We believe someone knows what happened and can help. If you have any information on this crime or Liza's location, call the police at 901-545-COPS or call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Thank you.
Time was of the essence and the perpetrator had to be located immediately. The answers the police were looking for could be found in the Champion sandals the assailant left behind during his struggle with Eliza. DNA evidence extracted from the footwear pointed to Cleotha Abston-Henderson, a career criminal who just finished a 20-year stretch for kidnapping. Things did not look good. His criminal career all started in June of 1995 when he was just 11 years old. He was charged with the theft of items under $500. In October of 1995, he attempted burglary. In October of 1996, he stole again. And in 1997, he was arrested for theft, for aggravated assault, evading arrest and violation of curfew. He also had a truancy charge in November that year, and in May 1998, he was arrested for the possession of illicit substances and paraphernalia. By June, he caught his first intimate assault charge, and in December of 1999, he was arrested for theft and would enjoy a repeat of that charge in April of 1999. He was arrested for another charge of theft. From this point on, Cleotha's behaviour only got worse. Later, he was caught trespassing, and then he was charged with another theft. He was arrested for 4 counts of aggravated assault and for evading arrest once again. It was quite the miracle that it took this long for Cleotha to be put behind bars. He was a multiple repeat offender. However, his luck would eventually run out after his stunt with David Kemper. He kidnapped David Kemper in 2000 and tried to drain his bank account at a local ATM. Kemper testified that had a security officer not come along, Cleotha would have killed him. At that time, he was only 16 years old, but already because of his history and the severity of his crimes, he was sentenced to a harsh 20 years in prison. Yet, as problematic as Cleotha's story is, he would try almost the exact same thing again upon his release. In 2021, Henderson was indicted for the kidnapping and intimate assault of Eliza Franklin. She was a young woman that he met through a dating app.
Not a day goes by that I didn't think about this.
Alicia alleging Henderson attacked her almost a full year before Eliza went missing, but the DNA results from her assault kit linking Henderson to her case were not reported until after Eliza disappeared, a delay she believes allowed Henderson to remain free.
They had more than enough evidence that night when they interviewed me to get him off the streets, but they didn't.
Although that case never fully developed, it foreshadowed what was to come. When the police checked the CCTV around the area where Eliza's effects were discovered, they witnessed a shocking kidnapping. Stomachs churned as they viewed the tape. Doing so, they were able to deduce the year, make and model of the car, as well as its license plate. The car was registered to one Gwendolyn Brown, a woman who, when questioned, insisted she was not Cleotha's girlfriend and had nothing to do with this situation, though she refused to clarify the nature of their relationship, even to the police. All that was clear was that she loaned Cleotha the car on the morning that Eliza was murdered. All that was clear was that she loaned Cleotha the car on the morning that Eliza disappeared. But the police didn't need that evidence to build a case against him. Cleotha's DNA and video evidence proved that he was in contact with Eliza and forced her into the vehicle. To better establish his connection with this attack, the police pinged his cell phone and discovered his location on September the 2nd. They found Cleotha and the GMC terrain he used some distance from his house. He had partially wiped down the car with floor cleaner in an attempt to destroy DNA evidence. He was also washing his clothes in the sink of their home. This was according to his brother, Mario. Cleotha was in his house when the police came knocking. When he tried to run, he was swiftly apprehended. Upon inspection of the car, the police were able to retrieve evidence that Eliza had been seriously hurt inside of the vehicle. They charged Henderson with aggravated assault, theft, and fraudulent use of a credit card, the previous 2 crimes he'd allegedly committed the day before.
Today is a very sad day in the city of Memphis. First, I'd like to express our sincere condolences to the family, friends, and numerous others who have been impacted by the tragic and heinous kidnapping of Eliza Fletcher. Yesterday evening, September 5th, at approximately 5:07 p.m., the Memphis Police Department and other law enforcement partners discovered the remains of a human body, in the rear of a vacant duplex apartment at the 1600 block of Victor Street. At that time, it was believed the unidentified body could possibly be the remains of kidnapping victim Eliza Fletcher. Further forensic investigation by the MPD traffic unit positively identified the body was, in fact, Eliza Fletcher. Cleotha Abston has been charged by MPD homicide investigators with the following state charges: first-degree murder and perpetration of kidnapping, especially aggravated kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. In addition, Abston has been charged with the following unrelated offenses: identity theft, theft of property, and credit card fraud. While the outcome of this investigation is not what we hoped for, we are nonetheless pleased to remove this dangerous predator off the streets of Memphis.
Eliza's body was sadly found on Monday, September the 5th, 2022. It was around 5:07 p.m. and was found by the Memphis police and other state departments. Her body was near an abandoned duplex. It was concealed by tall grass on Victor Street, South Memphis. A pair of purple Lululemon shorts were recovered from a nearby trash can. They matched those Eliza had been wearing the day before. The duplex was about 1.5 miles away from Cleotha's former residence. Henderson was charged with the first-degree murder of Eliza Fletcher. Eliza's 2 young children would now be forced to grow up without a mother.
The collaboration and cooperation amongst all of our partner agencies was nothing less than symphonic.
We were there as teams from the Memphis Police Department, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, FBI, ATF, and U.S. Marshal's Office fanned out across city over multiple days, trying to find Fletcher, quickly processing evidence, working to get answers in her disappearance.
I had the opportunity to go to the command center over the course of the weekend, and I saw with my own eyes the seamless cooperation among all of them.
This just goes to show that it's one team, one mission. We made.
Eliza likely experienced a leg bruise from her attacker during their initial struggle, before she was subdued enough with fentanyl and later struck with a powerful blow to the head. And then, just like that, Eliza's life was snuffed out. The attacker pulled the trigger on a firearm whilst aimed at Eliza's head.
Let's take a look at the map together. Eliza Fletcher was abducted at 4:20 a.m. in the morning on Friday, September 2nd, from the intersection of Central Avenue and Zach H. Curlin Street near the University of Memphis campus. Her body was located by law enforcement at an abandoned home, which was about 7.5 miles away from where she was abducted, and this is in South Memphis.
As for why Cleotha Abston-Henderson risked his entire life and murdered an unsuspecting jogger, it is quite unclear. A lot of people speculate that Henderson could be seen as delusional, confused, and might be suffering from one of any mental conditions that impaired his judgment. However, questioning found that Cleotha was of sound body and mind. He asked for a public defender shortly after he was arrested, and one was swiftly assigned to him. Although he would eventually get rid of his public defender, Cleotha's case still drummed up a lot of attention. A great deal of people were certain that Eliza's death was some sort of assassination or a ploy by the spouse to inherit Eliza's estate. There was also speculation that Cleotha's attack might have been revenge against the man who put him away. Original victim Kemper, who had just recently passed away, did have distant ties with the Fletcher family. Eliza's uncle worked for Fletcher's former firm, and people think that Cleotha chose Eliza because she was the easiest target to get to. However, 38-year-old Cleotha's criminal record suggests otherwise. He had been having run-ins with the law since his early years, and his crimes only seem to have escalated. Cleotha was working in a soup kitchen, borrowing cars from acquaintances, and was now in a whole new world after spending 20 years in prison. Life was not exactly going great for him. Perhaps Cleotha was desperate for some kind of release, and Eliza just could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But his actions on the day seemed calculated and premeditated. Cleotha was a career criminal, someone that had evaded punishment for most of his crimes. After seeing Eliza jogging that Friday morning, he saw an opportunity and perhaps suspected he could get away with just one more crime. What he hadn't anticipated though were the CCTV cameras and DNA testing that would give him away before he had the opportunity to cover his crime. Perhaps he didn't realise just how far technology had come during his time in prison. At the time of this video being recorded, Cleotha Abston-Henderson's trial has still not begun. However, jury selection is now underway. At this time, he's been under arrest for over 1 year. His bail is set at $2.2 million, and his trial date keeps being pushed back time and time again, as prosecutors and defenders push from both sides. Cleotha replaced his public defendant with a private attorney, someone who represented several high-profile defendants in Shelby County over the years. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy has always been a staunch critic of the death penalty, but he has announced that he will pursue it against Cleotha. Factors that allow for the death penalty in the state of Tennessee cover killings that were heinous, atrocious, and cruel, and everything that the prosecution has unearthed during his case seems to have painted Cleotha to be all three of these things. At this time, we await the results of the trial. I wouldn't normally cover a case that was not yet closed. However, because of the presence of DNA, and the fact the event was captured on CCTV, the case appears to be open and shut. All we are now really waiting for is the sentence. It is widely believed that Cleotha will never see freedom again, and possible that his life will be taken by the state. Please do let me know your thoughts on this case down in the comments, and let me know what you think could be done to avoid something like this happening again in the future. And if you appreciate what I'm doing here, please do hit that like button. Be careful out there, and I'll see you soon.